Good evening. The United States has entered Israel's war with Iran. American stealth bombers and submarines launched a massive coordinated attack targeting 3 key nuclear sites.
During an address to the world, US President Donald Trump called the operation a spectacular military success.
In the stunning attacks, B-2 warplanes dropped bunker-buster bombs on a key nuclear site, Fordow. US submarines also fired cruise missiles at other nuclear sites at Isfahan and Natanz. Iran has started striking back, triggering chaos in Israel.
We have reporters standing by in Canberra, Tel Aviv and Washington DC tonight. Miley Hogan begins our coverage from the White House.
Donald Trump, wartime president.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime,
Ordering in stealth bombers and submarines to unleash deadly force.
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success.
Military officials say 6 B-2 warplanes dropped up to 12 bunker-buster bombs on the Fordow nuclear site deep underground. At the same time, US Navy submarines fired 30 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles, blowing up nuclear sites at Isfahan and Natanz. Natanz also hit with 2 bunker busters.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
These were the targets, Israel claiming the sites were being used by their sworn enemy to build a nuclear bomb.
History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons.
The White House releasing images of the president in the Situation Room, where the attacks would have been watched in real time.
We're breaking now.
Across the US, news networks rushing to air.
News from the President of the United States.
On TV in Iran.
Iran now considers all US military bases in the region and American military personnel legitimate targets.
Yemen's Houthi military earlier today threatened to carry out more attacks like this in the Red Sea if the US attacked. This was Lebanon yesterday, locals supporting Iran, which finances Lebanese terror group Hezbollah. The president warning any retaliation by Iran against the United States will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
On the streets of America, mixed reaction.
I'm like, oh no, this is happening.
President Trump's doing what he has to do.
I'm just struggling. I don't know what to do.
In particular, God, I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them.
Well, let's go live now to US correspondent Miley Hogan at the White House. Miley, good evening. Just how much of a gamble is this for President Trump?
Michael, experts say before giving the order to strike, the US president would have taken advice on possible retaliation. Now, besides those US military bases scattered throughout the Middle East being potential targets, there is also the possible risk of terrorists targeting US tourists and even US cities. The Homeland Security Secretary saying that her department will work unceasingly to protect the American homeland. And tonight, the New York Police Department has stepped up its presence at potential targets.
All right, Miley Hogan there in Washington DC, thank you.
Now to correspondent Jacqueline Robson, who's live on the ground in Tel Aviv, where Iran's response has had devastating effects. Jackie, ballistic missiles have struck there.
Angie, soon after the US fired off its missiles, Iran retaliated. We are in a residential area of Tel Aviv where there is extensive damage to the apartments here and more than 20 people are injured. Glass windows have been blown out everywhere, and at the direct impact site, the building has crumbled away. What were once homes is now just a mangled pile of concrete. Residents are in shock and they're stressed, leaving with just their suitcases and nowhere to go. Israel has now elevated its threat alert for citizens here, with one woman telling me it feels like the end of the world. Just hours after the US strikes, Iran's response. Missiles streaking across the sky, dawn sirens sending people across Israel's biggest city for bunkers. Even in a safe place, it's loud. Right now, we're hearing the first retaliation from Iran. It is expected to be more forceful and powerful than we've seen over the past few days, and just by listening to it, you can certainly hear that that is the case. Israel couldn't fend off every single rocket. This, the devastation in a residential part of Tel Aviv.
A missile fire hit right inside of a building complex behind me. We've already transported around 5 injured, still treating here wounded around us.
Their homes destroyed, these people getting out.
I'm very afraid, yes. I'm shaking up. That's exactly what I am. It was horrifying, horrifying. It was, we were in the shelter, but we were pushed from one side of the shelter to the other, and my apartment is destroyed.
The northern port city of Haifa also hit. Some Israelis had already spent the night underground, waking to the news of America had joined their fight on Iran.
I want to thank President Trump because I think he had a very good decision, because this could be the end of the war.
From Palestinians in the West Bank,
we hope that the war will end, not only in Iran, Palestine and Gaza, but all over the world, so that everyone can live in peace and happiness.
For decades, Israel has fought a proxy war with Iran, surrounded by militant groups supported by Tehran. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. Since the October 7 attacks of 2023, all have been weakened. Hezbollah operatives hit by hundreds of exploding pages and walkie-talkies. Israel fighting a ground war with Hamas inside Gaza with a huge humanitarian cost. On June 12, an emboldened Israel took the fight to Tehran, beginning its bombing campaigns over Iran. Tonight, they have continued, Israel resuming its attacks on Iran's firepower soon after the US strikes.
President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength.
Israelis now contemplating what comes next.
I feel like it's the end of the world. That's what I feel.
In Tel Aviv, Israel, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
The Albanese government has released a statement again calling for de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy. Missing, though, any mention of support for the US airstrikes.
That's drawn fire from the opposition, quick to back our American allies.
To say his government is playing it low-key is an understatement. Anthony Albanese today chose not to comment on our superpower ally, the United States, striking at Iran's nuclear facilities. None of his ministers commented either. The government released quotes from an unnamed spokesperson noting the US president's statement that now is the time for peace, suggesting the security situation is highly volatile, and calling again for de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy.
Look, I think they've been far too ambiguous. The United States is a close ally. The United States has a key role in re-establishing order and peace in the Middle East.
The opposition offering support for the US action.
This was a necessary action to take by the United States military. President Trump gave the offer of negotiations.
So it's changed the strategic equation for Australia.
Some in Australia worried the president may have flicked the spark for a wider war.
A lot of civilians would be killed, and the regime will resist to the very end, simply because that they don't have really much choice.
But from others, Trump has dealt with a potentially deadly threat, a nuclear Iran.
This is not a country that we should be trusting. So if they don't have a nuclear weapon, I'm happier.
And speaking out loudly to back a president he once dealt with leader to leader, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison tweeted 3 words, then repeated them in an interview with 7 News.
Peace through strength. This is what President Trump promised to bring to the presidency, and what we've seen today after exercising every other avenue to resolve this impasse with Iran. It should be supported with clarity and with certainty and with purpose, because they have taken the action that was necessary to protect our shared interests.
National Security Editor Tim Lester's in Canberra. Tim, when might we hear from the Prime Minister?
Well, we don't know yet, Michael. Could be tomorrow, though what we do know is that Penny Wong, the Foreign Affairs Minister, is due to appear on Sunrise tomorrow morning. Will be fascinating to hear how far she wants to go supporting or not the action taken by Donald Trump today. A lot of the government's focus, though, is going to be on the now more than 3,800 Australians, more than 2,600 of them in Iran, the others in Israel, who've expressed a desire to leave those countries, and what action the government is and can take given the situation in the region being as volatile as it is. Michael.
Tim, thank you.
Sydney is far from the front line of the conflict, but the fallout is already being felt here.
Many have now lost contact with their loved ones in Iran, with communication lines down and uncertainty and fear setting in.
Ali Aline's a long way from home.
Sorry?
The pain is still very real.
Keep your hope. Be strong.
A message to his cousins who live in Tehran. Some have fled, others he worries could be in danger.
We don't know much, but we find out they are safe.
A sentiment shared among Iranians in Sydney today. Thousands gathering across the CBD at the Town Hall and Hyde Park.
We are very worried all the time. We are in a very, very bad situation mentally.
Protesters fear it could spark wider regional conflict.
It makes the threat to world peace shocking.
It is quite disappointing, and it's a huge violation of international law and a massive escalation in the region.
To add to the uncertainty of what's happening in their home country, many Iranians here have lost complete contact with their families.
All of the connection was disconnected because many landlines didn't work properly.
The Jewish community, however, said it's breathing a sigh of relief.
The deep, decisive action of Israel and today the US has brought an end to the immediate threat and hopefully created a pathway to peace.
The cry for peace from all sides.
We don't want violence. We don't want a war.
Inga Nielsen, 7 News.